Hi, Burger Guy 905 here. After I started working my way up the corporate ladder at an underground Burger King for at least 3 days, I realized I don't really want to offer anything remotely valuable to the bugs on Hoxie's. Mostly because I hate them, so I've left my job at Burger King and I'm gonna go somewhere else. As I mentioned, I really hate bugs. What is that? No! No! I can't stand being near them, especially if they have a lot of legs, and also if they're in my house, that's even worse. I let out a lot of my bug-related fears by playing video games where I specifically kill bugs, so if you find any games where you kill bugs, send them my way. Other than Grounded, couldn't play that one. I was scared of ants. I am for some reason not as afraid of the bug-like creatures in DRG, other than this one. I'm very afraid of this one. This thing's terrifying. This rolling disaster, along with many other enemies, create a set of unique and well-designed threats that you can encounter during your time on Hoxie's. Here's my take on the creatures of Deep Rock Galactic and why they're terrifying in the best way possible. There are a lot of different creatures to encounter on Hoxie's, and I mean a lot. Some of them are nice, but most of them are really not nice at all. There are 37 different creatures residing in the depths of the planet, and that's not including the 12 biome variations. Some of them will hit, slash, and bite, others will grab you, a couple of them will blow you up, and some of them vomit or spit on you. Actually, wait, there's a lot of vomiting and spitting in this game. Roughly half of these bugs have resistances and weaknesses to certain damage types. I feel like I'm playing Pokemon looking at all this. You can look it up elsewhere if you're interested in the details, but I'd rather not go on a 30-minute TED talk about it. It's good stuff to know, so I'll have a link in the description. One thing that makes them all pretty distinct is how they look. There's spider-like bugs, some flying bugs, big mouth plants, flying whale guys. Listen, they got it all covered on this planet. It all has this low poly look, but I feel like it's a lot more visually unique than most low poly titles out there. Like I said earlier, there's many different methods of attack enemies take. Acid spitters, spitball infectors, and Mactera spawn all have difficult to dodge projectiles, and they hit really hard. So you basically just have to learn the best way to move to avoid damage. To make things more difficult, there are creatures that specifically hinder your movement. Shockers, web spitters, and slashers are some examples of enemies that make it more difficult to avoid attacks, and it makes you really easy prey. Some even completely take away your ability to move. Cave leeches, grabbers, and trawlers all can just grab you. These guys can be the reason a mission fails by themselves for an unlucky team of dwarves. This mix of attack methods is an intentional design choice for sure. The devs know that your ability to move in Deep Rock is what keeps you alive. If they can throw in some creatures that slow you down, it can make weaker and slower bugs group up and kill you with ease. The attacks that limit your ability to move, along with some biomes having hazards that slow you down, can create really tense moments where you barely make it out alive. This variety of enemies and attacks defines the gameplay of DRG. You have to learn how to best prioritize what you kill and avoid being stunned or hit at the same time. If an acid spitter is spitting at you while you're fighting some grunts, you gotta take out the acid spitter before it kills you. If there's a grabber, you take it out before it grabs you, even if there's other enemies attacking. If you're on a salvage uplink and there's a Praetorian on one side and swarmers on the other, you're gonna shoot the Praetorian. If there's a bulk on an uplink, you just cry a lot. It's much more engaging when you have to pick and choose what you attack first. These enemies spawn like a randomly generated chess game, and you have to find the best moves to make it out. Although it may seem like a small detail, biome variants of enemies add a nice bit of change to a mission, and they can have drastically different stats from their normal variants. Radioactive Praetorians are actually almost double the speed of normal Praetorians, which I didn't know for a while. These small things can change up the gameplay just a little bit, and that's pretty nice. While visually, a lot of the enemies are cool and scary, I think the sound design is just as, if not, more cool and scary. One of DRG's main inspirations is sci-fi horror, in particular the Alien franchise.
I mean, I'm a very big fan of Aliens, the Alien franchise.
We pretty much all are,
yeah.
I think.
So I think there's a lot of inspiration from that.
This inspiration shines through in most aspects of DRG, but especially in sound design. The sound enemies make in this game could be straight out of a horror film. Oh, and also on the topic of sound, the music is completely fantastic and it's a huge part of what makes DRG so good, so I just wanted to bring that up, but I will talk about it in a video soon. These bugs are packed full of nasty growls, shrieks, buzzes, and hisses. While these noises are perfect for the creatures, they also add to the gameplay of DRG. Enemies often warn players with a distinct sound to let you know that they want to come kick your shins in. There are so many different uses of this in DRG, and I love it so much. One of the best examples of this in the game is the cave leech. As it reaches for you, it begins to hiss very faintly, and since this hissing noise is very faint, if you're distracted, you'll miss it. Even though they're basically just like barnacles from Half-Life, I feel like the cave leeches have their own identity and they're a lot more eerie. I usually just flail around like a complete moron whenever I hear a cave leech reaching for me. I'm sure this sound brings back really bad memories. When playing with friends, everyone goes absolutely nuts when they hear a grabber. Dwarves looking around left and right, trying to spot this grabber as it gets closer and closer towards you, and them having a weak point that's so small makes it all the more scary. Hearing the hiss of an exploder about to blow you to pieces, or a Mactera spawn charging up a snot rocket behind you is quite the rude awakening when you're just trying to collect some gold. There are so many other sounds in this game that I haven't mentioned. Menaces when they burrow, wardens humming, oppressors growling, Betsy's ear-piercing beeping throughout the entire cave, breeders making whale calls. Almost all enemies have unique sounds to pick up on. Now I know Deep Rock isn't the first game to do this. It's pretty common stuff. But how the game uses these sounds adds so much to the feel of Hoxie's. They basically took the fear you get from hearing a creeper hiss behind you and twisted it and warped it in so many unique and horrific ways. When you start a mission and drop in and you hear this, you just feel your stomach drop and you're just like, man, I have to deal with that again. I saved my favorite example of this in the game for last, and here it is. This is the scariest thing in the entire game. It is completely terrifying. A bulk detonator carving a tunnel through the map directly towards you is horrific. You just can hear it slowly getting closer and closer to you, and there's this big exploding dude with like 8 legs and he wants to kick your ass. I hope Ghost Ship Games is proud because these guys are messed up. I could honestly talk about this topic for hours. The sound design in this game is so good. This is like my favorite thing about the creatures in DRG without a doubt. This game deserves like 18 awards for its sound design. But sometimes, creatures on Hoxies don't make really scary noises, they actually make some cute ones, and they're pretty nice. Passive creatures are a pretty common thing to see in most caves. There aren't many of them in the game at the moment, but I think they're pretty neat. The most iconic of all of these bugs you can find is a loot bug. I love that you can pet them. Honestly, it's probably the most important update in DRG history. I really need a loot bug plush. Please make one. I would fill a room in my house entirely with loot bugs. It would be like a ball pit, but like soft and good. Harvesters are just like these dudes sniffing the ground. I don't know. I really like them. They're pretty fun to stand on and they look pretty sick. Here's a picture I got of one a while ago. It's pretty good. I think my personal favorite passive creature design in the game is the Huli Hoarder. This guy is so underappreciated. He is so unique from all of the other bugs, and I love how wiggly they are. They're just like little gummy dudes. They're little gummy bugs. we have maggots. They smell bad, but that's like about it. There are a few more I haven't mentioned that I can show here. But overall, I really like the nice bug friends. I hope more passive creatures can be discovered in the caves eventually. They make it feel a lot more lived in, and since there's like bugs that don't actually attack you, it feels more like an environment that they're just like existing in instead of like everything's out to kill you. I think it's a really nice change of pace. For not doing much at all, they add so much atmosphere to the game. Some creatures that don't add a lot of atmosphere to the game would be the unused creatures. These guys were taken out of official builds or never fully implemented. There's a lot of them actually, and you can look at a whole list on the wiki if you want, but I'm just gonna get my highlights because I want to talk about the ones I think are cool. Sucking plant. So this is just some sort of plant that would suck up nearby dwarves, I'm assuming. I'd like to see this added to the game. Glyphid vampire. I'm assuming this glyphid would have lifesteal effects. They seem pretty annoying to fight, but it's interesting. Here's my rendition of what a glyphid vampire would look like. It's pretty cool, right? It's pretty sick. He's a good guy. Glyphid acid spitter queen. I'm so glad this isn't in the game. They burrow similar to menaces and they're like acid spitters. This is a complete disaster enemy. An acid spitter combined with a menace is actual nightmare fuel. I really recommend checking out DRG Historian's video on this. It is a really funny video and it's like one of my favorites he's made. I'm gonna put a link in the description. You should definitely go check that out. Jelly Spike Slinger. This flying guy was removed in Update 6 and he's basically just a jelly booger boy. He's pretty gross, but I think he'd fit fungus bogs pretty well if they were to add him in again. Enemy design in co-op horde shooters is really important, and if it doesn't have good enemy design, it isn't going to be anywhere near as fun as it could be. DRG offers a variety of really well-designed enemies that look and sound like they're straight out of a dark sci-fi horror movie. The thing that blows my mind is that fighting these enemies just doesn't get old. They all feel so different that it's just so fun each time you play the game. In a lot of horde shooters, the enemies tend to blend together, but Deep Rock makes them all wildly different sizes and shapes, which helps so much. You aren't fighting just another zombie or a bunch of random samey dudes. The enemies are so uniquely designed and cool as hell. They have become such an integral part of the imagery of DRG. Loot bugs are just sacks of minerals, but they build so much of DRG's identity. The creatures add so much more personality to this universe than just another zombie enemy in a video game. The art team at Ghost Ship Games has absolutely nailed this style, and I cannot wait to see what other monstrosities they're cooking up. I just want to say thank you for the support on the last video, and thank you to Ghost Ship Games for supporting me as well. DRG has been such a fun and important part of spending time with all my friends, and I can't imagine a game that we'd want to play together other than this one. And thank you all so much for the nice comments, it means so much. Rockinstone. So I wrote to the higher-ups at DRG, the guys around mission control and stuff, the big guys. And I asked if I could set up a little food stand kind of thing to sell to some dwarves. My plan is to open up my own Burger King on the rig itself. And this is a concept image. I'm gonna make the best burgers ever and they're gonna be so good, and I'm gonna make Lloyd work there. It's gonna be affordable and clean. It's gonna be right next to the jukebox and the Abyss bar. Oh, and I'm gonna, listen, I'll be rolling in credits, dude. The money I'll make from selling Whoppers and chicken nuggets, I get to run my own business, no manager. All the money is mine. I get all the Burger King money. It's my Burger King money. What the fuck am I talking about?